Hello, and thank you for watching this December 7th weather update, brought to you by Agrible, the makers of Morning Farm Report. My name is Eric Snodgrass, and I'm a senior atmospheric scientist and co-founder of Agrible. As we have forecast, the start of December has been warmer than average. It's still cool, but nothing like the past 2 winters for the Corn Belt. Here is the temperature anomalies for the first 5 days of the month, and we can see a nice carryover from the temperature patterns from November, with a cool west and a warm east. In terms of precipitation, a pair of low-pressure systems moved through the central and eastern United States last week, bringing a lot of rain from Texas through the Appalachian Mountains. Parts of the Midwest saw some light snow showers, while the north-central states received quite a bit of snow early last week. However, I want to turn our attention out west, where a repeated lashing of storm system after storm system has soaked Northern California through Washington state. As we have been updating in each video now for a year, this region is experiencing one of its longest lasting and deepest droughts in recent decades. While this rain and snow helps, much more is needed. The parade of storms have been fueled by the strengthening of the Aleutian Low south of Alaska. This animation shows the winds in the jet stream. Notice the strong flow that reaches across the Pacific Ocean and ends at the west coast of the United States and Canada. This jet stream setup brings repeated waves called troughs over the region that spawn low-pressure systems and bring cooler than average temperatures. This string of low-pressure systems have started off the rainy season in a very wet fashion, and the hope is that it will continue throughout the winter. Additionally, this animation shows one of the reasons the rest of the United States has been warmer than average. This area I'm highlighting with the cursor is a branch of the subtropical jet. When it is strong and persistent, it is very difficult for cold air from the polar branch of the jet stream to invade the United States, hence the warm start to the month. So what are we expecting for the next couple of weeks in terms of temperatures? This animation shows the next 10 days for temperature anomalies, or differences from normal. What I want you to see is that we are not forecasting a breakdown in the current pattern. As a result, warmer than average conditions persist into mid-December. In fact, parts of the central Corn Belt will reach into the upper 50s and possibly the lower 60s by next Saturday. Now, don't expect a beach day. To get warm in December requires strong southerly winds, so it is by no means going to be a mild, pleasant, spring-like week. But here's the temperature probability forecast for days 8 through 14 in the forecast. Again, warmer than average conditions dominate through mid-December. Now, during winter, large warm-ups like this are often accompanied by wind and rain. So let's take a look at the precipitation forecast. There really isn't too much rain to talk about in the eastern two-thirds of the country for the start of this week. The west will be wet as continual rounds of rain and snow pound the coast, fed by the strong flow in the jet stream. But the first 5 days of this week across the Corn Belt is void of large winter weather events. So, when is the next big winter storm forecast to arrive? We need to start watching the central states closely as this week progresses. As next weekend arrives, the models have been consistently forecasting the development of a significant weather system to push out of the southwest and race toward the Great Lakes. The models have not yet settled in on the timing and intensity of this system, but Sunday's forecast runs suggested that it could be a big event in terms of both rain and snow. Again, this forecast will change quite a bit as the week progresses, as a lot of the players with this next system have yet to come together and settle into a predictable pattern. However, expect a big rainmaker to call across the United States to start next week. The map that you see here is for next Monday night, and if it verifies, it will be a very windy and wet start to next week and potentially snowy from Missouri, Iowa, and Wisconsin. Again, this forecast will change with time, but this is something we will be watching very closely. As we finish this weather update, let's take a quick world tour where weather is currently impacting ag. Starting in Brazil, the same story we told last week is holding true. Southern states like Rio Grande do Sul and Paraná have received ample rain, and the only concern I have heard recently is that of soybean rust. In the north and central part of the country, like Mato Grosso, well, these regions have been receiving regular rain for most of the season, but it has been drier than average. In some locations, less than half of normal rainfall has fallen. The embedded map shows this very well. Here, the last month's worth of rain anomalies are mapped, and clearly the southern regions have been much wetter than average, and the northern regions have been drier than average. Even though it is dry, no widespread reports of major crop damage have surfaced. Now, looking across the Atlantic, some news has been coming from South Africa recently about anomalously dry conditions. Here is a graph that shows rainfall deficits in Pietersburg, South Africa. Clearly, this region is behind on rain. Johannesburg was also very dry until a large single rain event brought 4 months' worth of rain in a single day. Those kind of rains produce flooding and don't often relieve drought due to so much of the rain running off rather than soaking in. Now, speaking of flooding, southern India has been the global hotspot for intense rain events. Several locations along the southeastern coast have received 200 to 300% of normal rainfall at the end of November and the beginning of December. Widespread flooding has threatened the lives of millions and has damaged crops. This image paints a clear picture of how bad the flooding is, as we see submerged roadways and fields. Well, as always, we at Agrible bring you the latest and best weather forecast information through our morning farm report so that you can efficiently plan your operations. We thank you for your attention and hope you look forward to our next weather video update. Thank you.